Spadoinkle.
You're running through the darkness. You're running through the darkness. Running through the darkness. Looking for a place to hide.
Welcome to Between the Covers podcast. I'm your hostess, Nyx.
And I'm Ophelia.
And this week, we got really sweet.
Sugary sweet.
Sugary sweet.
Baked goods.
Baked goods. Fattening foods. All that good stuff. We
Just
read...
Don't Call Me Cupcake.
we read Don't Call Me Cupcake by... Who was it?
Tara Sheets.
There you go. Not as much trouble this week as you had last week with that name.
I'm not drunk this week. So,
There you have it.
I'll tell you about Tara Sheets.
Yeah, please do. Tell
Not-
me. I'm so interested.
Not a lot of information, but it does say she was originally from the Pacific Northwest, which matches up where this story takes place.
Mm-hmm.
She said the rain and weather and everything was very inspiring. And then it said she moved to the South, and then being able to go outside without a coat was inspiring. So she's easy to please. That explains
Easily
a lot
inspired.
about this. Explains a lot about this book. So she lives with her book-loving family and her book-eating dog. Merlin.
Now, when she says book-loving family, does that mean she lives with her parents still?
It doesn't say.
Well,
could be.
because it doesn't specify, I'm probably going to go ahead and assume that she lives with her parents.
Yeah, could be. And her book-eating dog.
That bitch. Bastard. Merlin.
Merlin.
At least this dog is named not Buddy.
Buddy.
Hey, Buddy.
Yeah, she couldn't come up with anything better.
No, apparently not. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, though.
Okay. Well, you can go over the plot then.
Wait, what? That was it?
That's it. That's all the information on it. There's stuff
Wait,
about
hold
awards
on,
and
hold
things she
on.
won.
Let's see. There's got to be something. Wow. No. You're right. There's
She's a
literally
staunch
nothing.
believer in the happily ever after.
Oh, yeah. Lover of fairy tales.
Flash of magic.
Yeah, lighthearted romance. I guess you could call this lighthearted romance.
It's like a Lifetime movie style.
I would say
Or Disney.
this is romance light. Like
Yes.
Lite. Like not even spelled correctly. Romance light. Yeah, so the plot is pretty basic, pretty simple. Emma Holloway owns a cupcake shop that's been in her family for a couple generations.
Fairy cakes.
Fairy cakes. They are... Well, the Holloways are like a family that have been on the island for a really long time, but as time has passed, they've dwindled, so it's just Emma and her cousin, Juliet. Juliet.
Juliet.
Sorry, she calls her Jules, so that's just how I think about her in the book, is Jules. But anyway, one day, this dude comes in and buys some cupcakes, and then she finds out that he is actually a dude who bought a property, like, across the street or something, and plans to turn it into a very fancy and upscale restaurant that includes a bakery. And so he is becoming her business rival, basically, which sucks because he's super hot and has like leaf green eyes and stuff. And so
she chases him down the street.
she chases him down the street and is like, how dare you eat my cupcakes? And he's like, who is this bitch? What is happening? He's like a big real estate broker kind of dude from Seattle. This town, I got the feeling, is kind of like a vacation town, kind of like a Martha's Vineyard-y kind of vibe, except maybe not as rich.
Yeah. It's very
Yeah,
small town.
small
style.
town, but gets an influx of tourists in the season, the summer season. Anyway, so she finds out that the town has contracted both her and this dude Hunter,
Hunter Kane.
Hunter Kane, to do the big summer festival, to cater it. So they have to work together, and it's like so terrible because she totally like hates him, except not really, and they kind of end up falling in love, but like it's very convoluted. And long story short is they do fall in love, and he doesn't leave, even though for a majority of the book she really does want him out of town. So the plot is basically like the story of how they go from being business rivals to entwined lovers, I guess.
Well, entwined through the story is magic.
Oh, yes, and there's magic. She's a witch, kind of. Not like a witch, kind of. I guess she's like a green witch. Like she has like small magic that doesn't affect her, but she can affect other people by baking
These ancient recipes.
baking wishes and hopes and dreams into cupcakes that
One
are super
that'll
delicious.
Help you sleep, give you success in the day, make the rain stop.
Make
That's
the
a
rain
pretty
go
powerful.
away. Yeah,
she makes
that
the
one-
rain go away for a few days at a time.
Yeah, and she does it several times in the book. And then the go away cupcake.
That was dark magic. She felt weird about that.
Yeah, she was not cool with it. But anyway, it's I don't know. It's like a cute story, I guess. It wasn't like riveting. I wasn't like glued to the pages of the book like what's going to happen next. It was more just like, oh, okay.
I zoned out a few times during this. I really expected when there's magic for it to be much more interesting than it was, and it wasn't. We were talking about something that happened in it earlier, and I had no memory of it whatsoever.
It's like,
because I did
remember
not-
that time when like this and
No.
this, and she was like, what?
No.
So let's just move on to the characters.
Yep.
So we have Emma,
Emma Holloway,
the main character.
She's a basic witch.
She's basic.
She's very basic. She gets a balayage done at the hairdresser.
I didn't even
at
know
the
what that
salon.
was.
Yeah, it's just highlights and lowlights. It's very basic.
What are low lights?
It's like a slightly darker shade underneath. Kind of bring out the... I don't know. Mine's all one color.
Yeah. So Emma is like a tragic heroine character prototype, I guess you could say. Like her grandmother died of cancer a couple years ago. Before that, like her mother
Well,
had like wanderlust, but it wasn't just like the normal human type of wanderlust. It was like special witchy wanderlust.
that's her gift.
That was her gift. Yeah, her calling.
Oh, her
Please,
calling,
her
right?
calling.
Yeah.
And so I guess when Emma was 6, her mother just sort of like dumped her off at her grandmother's. It was like peace. And then was just sort of intermittently in and out of her life.
But she did live all over the place before she was 6, right? She
Yeah,
lived
yeah.
in
She was like Guam and Egypt and
Yeah.
Paris for a little bit. But she never knew who her father was.
Some guy in the Peace Corps. Apparently.
Some guy, yeah. So she has like this tragic past of abandonment going
and
on.
her ex-fiance left her.
Yeah, ran off with a barfly. And stole all of their savings and ran off with a barfly.
Oh yeah, Rodney stole thousands of dollars out of her can, thinking
Her
he
tin
was
can that
entitled
she
to
kept. Yeah. Okay, first of all, just saying, if you're going to keep thousands of dollars stored in a tin can somewhere, like, don't tell anybody where it is. Like,
Well, he was supposed to add to it, and he didn't.
right, he just took it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. We'll get to more on Rodney
If
later.
you can't trust your fiance with a tin can, what are you doing?
So the next character that I wrote down was Juliet Holloway, her cousin, her lifeline. Honestly, I thought Jules was a way more interesting character.
She's going to be in the sequel. Don't touch my petunias.
Don't touch my petunias.
Comes out next month.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that it's that because Jules's calling or gift is gardening or plant
Yeah, well,
magic.
it's about the Holloway girls, and there's only 2 of them. So unless she goes back in time and does a historical
Ooh, I would
romance
read
about
that.
the grandmother, yeah.
Well, we found out some juicy stuff about the grandmother at the end. Kind of weird stuff. Anyway, so Juliet, she's like curvy and vivacious and way more fun. is super into
Plants.
plants.
She's a plant witch. She can grow things and makes salves. I don't know.
Salves, oils, probably.
Soap.
So yeah. She and she works at a
florist.
Yeah.
With the gay guy. What's
The
his
gay
name?
guy who looks like Rhett Butler. There's like a very specific part. It was like old Hollywood.
Romeo. That's
Yeah, his name is
Romeo.
Romeo, of course.
Romeo and Juliet. I think that was a joke. That a nickname
That they
for
call him Romeo?
Yeah.
I hope so. Because honestly, I'll be... that literally just occurred to me. So.
Me too.
Wow. Okay, moving on. So then Hunter Kane is the next one. And
he's a real estate developer,
based out of Seattle, investor.
He invests in fancy restaurants.
What's up?
Nothing. So up until about 3 minutes ago, we captured everything, but I couldn't help but notice when I was listening in through the feed that like your voice was only coming in through the left side and hers was only coming.
Were they panned?
No, not at all. I was playing with the panning, trying to figure out what the fuck it was, and even though the USB out says M1, 2, 3, and 4, which is the 4 there.
Yeah.
For some reason, when it's on that setting, it was just Ghost keeping you guys hard panned left and right. And then when I just told it to do just M1 and M2, it's all fine now. So it's fine now. People will be able to hear what you guys said fine, but the first 12 minutes, only your voice is coming out of the left and only your voice is coming out of the right. So it sounds like a conversation.
It sounds like we're sitting on each side of you talking to you, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Like having you guys talk so much is because for some reason like one of you would come in like full on the left and half on the right, and then
Yeah.
I just could not figure it the fuck out. But okay, yep, this weird ass board. We're good now. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, sorry for the interruption, guys. Scorch just doesn't have his shit together. He
really doesn't.
I don't have the collar on today. Today's not the day, ladies.
So what were we saying? We're talking about
We're talking about
Kane.
Hunter Kane.
Oh yeah.
Jackson Cocker. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Wow. Yeah, so he's like this, what did they call him? They were like hottie with a body. Like, no.
Something
oh my God.
basic like that.
Yeah.
And all of the women in town are fawning over him. The old lady, Mrs. Mooney or Moody.
Yep.
Bethany the
whore.
innkeeper, the slutty innkeeper.
Anyway, he's I don't know. He's kind of a generic character at first. Like until he starts divulging more of his backstory to Emma, I didn't really like get a good read on him.
And even when he does, I don't feel emotionally invested in him.
No, not at all.
He's
He's just very like robotic and
he's not fleshed out. He's definitely just the love interest. He's not.
Yeah, I feel that. Like I feel that Emma Holloway is like a super well developed character. You know, we know her backstory. We know
she's
her
kind of dull and
mood.
basic, but that's
She's
who
dull
she
and
is, and it's
right.
it's clear that that's who she is.
Yeah. We get a good read on her, but with him, it's just like, oh, he's this like big shot, hot, smart, I guess, rich city man who
only cares about money.
Yeah, all he cares about is money and like his investments, and like she tried to do this thing where there was a phone conversation that Hunter had with his ex-fiance or ex-girlfriend or whatever at the beginning of the book where
Melissa or whatever.
No, I thought it started with a V.
Oh, well.
Vanessa? I don't know. Vivica.
This one was hard to get through.
Well, anyway, I think I didn't understand that conversation until later in the book, but even after I understood why that conversation happened, it still just seemed like a cheap attempt to make his character seem more mysterious at the time. Like, I don't know, it just I didn't feel anything from him. Like, honestly, I felt more things about what's his face, Asbjorn,
Oh yeah.
from Barely a
the-
Viking,
the
from the
65,
73 page novelette we read. Like, I got more character
Yeah.
experience from him than I did from this book, which is like at least 300 pages or maybe 275 or something. But you know, it was just like, okay, he's like hot and rich and like kind of materialistic, and he wants to like come in and change the small town, so nobody likes that about him. Okay.
Except Sam. He thinks the change is welcome.
Well, yeah, Sam's a good character to talk about next. He's
Mhm.
like the old dude who's kind of, is he like the mayor of the town?
No, he owns the whole wharf. He's a landowner. Oh, wait, he's in charge of something, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe he's like the head
Chamber
of
of
the
Commerce.
Yeah.
Commerce.
Yeah. He's like this 80-year-old dude who's just sort of like kicking around. He owns a lot of property.
He's got
He-
some wise sage life
Yeah,
advice.
he does have good advice. He's very level-headed. He knows everybody. He's very connected to the community.
He cares about Emma a lot.
He cares about everybody in the town.
Yeah, and
you can tell, and like,
Yeah.
damn, this is a minor character, and I still get more like feeling from him than I do from Hunter Kane, who's like supposed to be the main character.
yeah.
Of course, then there's Rodney Winters,
Oh yeah.
Emma's ex, who was the running back of the high school football team.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed, hottie. Now he's an alcoholic, and he was on some other drug apparently, but they never say what
said
it is.
what drug.
Yeah.
Just like at some
Emma's
point,
so
they were-
innocent she doesn't know.
They were together for a while. Like, they were together in high school, and then he moved away to college,
Yeah.
and then he came back, and then they got engaged, and then her grandmother got sick
Yeah.
and died, and he ran off.
He ran off before she.
He ran off before she died.
Yeah.
But while she was
And stole her
actively
money.
dying.
And then comes back to see her in the midst of the story.
Well, he came back because he has now he has like a criminal record
Yeah.
in California or some shit that we find out about at the end of the book. He's just like a really shitty character.
He vandalizes her shop, tries to vandalize her house, threatens her.
Calls her Angel, which is the
Asks her for
worst
money.
of all the
Angel.
crimes. Isn't that right, Angel? Like, oh God, so douchey. Like, oh, I can't. Like, I don't know how I would react if someone called me. If someone's like legitimately calling me Angel as like a pet name.
I'm picturing pets being called. Literally pets being called. You're my little angel. You're my little lapdog thing.
I would never
little
call Jasmine
Bonbon.
an angel.
Bonbon.
Bonbon. Oh my God, yes. Bonbon was the best character in the story. Bonbon was
poodle.
the toy poodle, the very spoiled toy poodle that Mrs. Mooney owned, the woman next door. That was great. Yeah, so Rodney Winters, real piece of work, real jerk. Had the temerity to like come back and be like, well, I ran away with this other bitch and stole all your money because like we were engaged, but you weren't paying any attention to me. Like,
You're paying all your attention to your
Yeah.
sick, dying grandmother.
how dare you pay more attention
And
to
you
your
were
sick.
sad all the time.
He was
'cause
like, you just cried all the time and you never paid attention to me. And it's just like,
my grandmother who raised me was dying. Really?
yeah, like holy shit. Talk about narcissist.
Yeah.
I did like, there was one description of him a little bit later in the story
Oh, I
where
know what
she
you're
was
talking about.
like, he hadn't noticed yet that his charm was like fraying around the edges or like fading around the edges. Like, he was just so caught up in like having peaked in high school and like being the golden boy like the whole time that he just like was incapable of seeing that he had no worthy qualities and was just like kind of a douchebag. I thought that was a cool thing that happened in that book.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some good descriptions, some interesting
Yeah.
things. It wasn't terrible. It was decently written. It just kind of, the characters were dull.
Yeah. Bethany was another main character. She was like a big minor character. She was like one of the popular girls in high school. She's always mean to Emma.
She always got her cleavage hanging out.
Her big fake tits and her perfect tan
Tries to seduce Hunter by laying on his bed in the
in a
in the bed and
filmy
breakfast.
black negligee. She's like, "Oh, I could get you excited." He's like, "Get out of my room." And she's like, "No, wait."
It's sort of from his point of view describing her when he meets her that she was young, maybe 29, but had so much makeup on she looked older.
Yeah, yeah. Tons of makeup. Always. What was the style? Beach waves or something. I don't know. Jules described her hair at some point. Like
Maybe.
the style of her hair was like, oh, it takes hours to get it done right. That was when they were like rooting around on the fringes of her property at like 6 a.m.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so Bethany is just like, I guess I would kind of say she's Emma's rival. Maybe. Like, that's how she kind of fits into the story.
Yeah, but she's not really on the same level as her.
In what way?
Like, they're not the same type of women. They won't be competing for the same type of guys.
Well,
I don't think.
they were.
Yeah, except that he wasn't interested in her at all.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, I just feel like when I say rival, I mean, she was kind of there to make things difficult for
She
Emma.
did, because she had a conversation with Rodney that fueled his vandalism and
his destructive
outburst.
urges, yeah.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Who else do you have written down for characters?
Gertie and Molly, I think. Is Molly even a character name, or did I make that up?
No,
It's just
Molly's
some
a character.
some hairdresser friends they had that kept showing up to different things. And then they had a full crowd cheering them on in the park when they kissed. And
That was like at the very end of the book.
ridiculous.
I wrote down Buddy.
Buddy. I was going to write down Buddy.
Buddy is this
He's
puppy.
a Labradoodle. Okay. I don't even like Labradoodles. I don't think
Yeah.
they're cute. I don't know. As a puppy, probably.
Well, yeah, but all puppies are cute.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Mr. Grunt was cute when he was a puppy.
I don't know about that.
That's my ugly gremlin dog. Yeah, so anyway, they're like, because it's set in a small town, there are lots of recurring characters, but I didn't feel that they were particularly central to the plot. They were just sort of like there to flesh out the town and stuff like that.
It's amazing how many very young people in this book are land homeowners.
Jealous.
In Pacific Northwest, too, like right outside Seattle. I bet it's pretty expensive to live there.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, but she does have problems with money and property taxes. So
Yeah.
it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Well, and plus, like, I get the feeling that it's the kind of small town where people don't really leave.
Yeah.
So, like, you probably inherit the house that your parents had, that their parents had, that their parents had, kind of deal. So, like, inheriting a house is different than, like, going out and buying one.
Don't get many inheritances when you're 25.
What? Oh, people
Because
don't
she's like,
inherit.
Emma's 25. And Bethany's went to high school with her, owns a bed and breakfast. How many of their parents died?
There's a mysterious curse on Pine Cove Island, guys. All the adults die mysteriously. Yeah, so that pretty much covers it for characters.
Yeah.
I have some discussion topics I wrote down.
Me too.
Do you want to go first? Or you can share one, and then I'll share one, and then you'll share one, and then I'll share one.
Well, one of them is recurring throughout most of the novels. It's been 3 weeks. I love you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. She unsure about him. It's only been maybe not even 3 weeks, a couple weeks, and she's
Couple
like,
weeks.
I love him, and he is thinking, I love her. Like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Look, we're on an accelerated timeline here. Like, we got to get
Clearly.
shit done, okay? Like,
Yeah, but
chop,
then there's
chop.
an epilogue to 8 months
That's
later.
8 months later.
So,
And what are they doing? They're getting married.
well,
He asks her.
no, they're watching a movie with Juliet and Buddy's huge now. And they're
even
eating
though he was
popcorn.
supposed to be a miniature Labradoodle.
And then we'll talk about this next.
Okay.
The house assists in a engagement
Yes. Yeah.
proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another talking point is the house. So.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about that right now.
Yeah.
She has a magic house. That's
the
the plot.
house is the best part.
Yeah, the house is the best
The
part.
house is my favorite character.
Yeah, no, the house is awesome. It's like a sort of sentient being.
Not haunted. She insists it's not haunted. It's
Yeah,
just its
no, it
own-
has its own awareness, I guess. And it like opens doors like for people that it likes, and it refuses to open doors for people that it doesn't like. It like Rodney tried to sneak into her bedroom window like when she was in high school, and the window like closed on him and just like trapped him there for a few hours. What else does it do?
It hides objects and moves objects to places that people can find them.
Yeah, it rearranges things.
It made the dog do something.
It showed the dog a new recipe,
Yeah.
or like attracted the dog to a recipe. There's an ancient recipe book, and it'll just like the house will like open the recipe book to like a page and be like, you should make this cupcake.
Yeah, she went back and forth a few times with it. Do this blissful day.
Yeah.
Cupcake or whatever.
She like argues with the house. She like blows the house kisses, and it
so
blows
does
it.
Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Later.
Yeah. Well, he like gets kind of used to the idea, and he's like, like the door opens for him, and there's nobody on the other side, and he's like, thank you. And the house is like, yeah, magic house. That's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally live in a magic house. Actually, you know what's really interesting? This is not, excuse me, this is not the first book I've read with a house that is like this.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the other one a romance?
Sort of, yeah. It's like a romance / adventure / time travel.
What is it?
It's by Deborah Harkness, and there are 3 books in the series, and they all have like witchy sounding names, like occult sounding names. It's a really good book series. That's why we're not going to read it on this podcast, because we're trying to read terrible books. But honestly, I would recommend you check it out. But yeah, that has a magic house in it too. And that book came out friggin' years ago. So I wonder if Miss Sheets maybe read that and was like, that's cool. I'm going to do that too.
But make it really boring. Romance about cupcakes.
No, don't call me Cupcake. Okay, so, magic cupcakes. The cupcakes themselves are magic too.
Yes,
because
they're
she's
spells.
she's baking her hopes and dreams and wishes into them.
And the townspeople believe it. It was
Most of them.
half and half. Some of them come to her for the spells.
Specifically, and some of them are like, like they might be. They're probably not, though.
The neighbor,
like,
Mrs. Moody will come over and get stuff for Bonbon.
Except for when she came over to ask about hemorrhoid cupcakes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
So awkward.
All I could think listening to that part was, this is supposed to be a romance novel. This is killing any mood that anyone could possibly have from this right now.
Who's like finger blasting themselves and then is like, oh, hemorrhoids.
Yeah, and it goes on for a bit too.
Yeah. It's like an entire 2 pages about hemorrhoids. And like Hunter's supposedly like coming to the shop, and then he like comes in, and Mrs. Moody is like about to keep talking about her hemorrhoids. So Emma's like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I'll be right with you. Like, shut up. I'm trying to bone. Let's see. Tragic backstory. Proud / struggling heroine. She's, trying to make enough money to pay her bills, but like all of her bills are overdue. I don't understand.
And the house is falling apart too, so she needs to get the roof fixed and the porch fixed. And
yeah, she brings that up every time she sees Rodney, because he he insists on, you didn't do this for me, and like I felt this way, and you were not doing this, and you were not doing that, and she's just like, bitch, you took all my money. My house is falling apart because I literally cannot afford to take care of it. Because you took my money and you're a bitch. Like, she actually did kind of grow a backbone towards the end of the book, which was...
She did, and they mentioned that her personality blossomed. Yeah, when Hunter came around.
Her personality rose in the oven.
Yeah, and she had a lot of yeast.
Ew.
Bethany points.
Gross.
What do you think causes the bread to rise?
I don't.
It's a yeast.
Oh, good. Emma was just particularly yeasty that day.
Gross.
This makes me think of the George Carlin bit where he's like, one time a woman told me she had a yeast infection, and he was like, great, why don't you bake me a fucking cake with that thing?
Oh, that's gross.
I think Bethany and Rodney both mentioned that they notice her personality changing. He's like, oh, you used to be so sweet. And she says something. Bethany says something along those lines too. Like she's changed.
Yeah. They both also like are totally happy to exploit like her sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
But then are just as quick to like denounce her for it when it doesn't fall in line with their particular whatever they think is supposed to be going on. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, I also wrote Juliet as a better character.
Oh yeah,
Because I would rather read a book
that's
about
true.
Juliet.
But we can.
We
On
can.
September
Oh my
25th
god,
when
girl!
Don't Touch
I'm
My
gonna pre-order
Petunias comes
that.
out. How far into the book do you think she says "Don't touch my petunias"?
Based off of this book, I'm gonna say 15 pages.
Okay.
No lie. I actually underlined it.
I say 5. I'm predicting it now. It's 5.
Okay, let's see.
Or she's gonna start the book with that. Don't touch my petunias. She's
Page 16. Don't call me Cupcake. Ever. In fact, don't speak to me again. I would never have sold you my sweet success cupcakes if I'd known who you really were.
Well, clearly they're going to end up together by the end of the book, just based on that interaction.
Look, I'm sorry, okay? How about if I just wish you success too? Then we're even. He's so like confused. He's like, what the fuck is happening right now?
He really does go with the flow a bit. Like, oh, the house is
Yeah, no, he
interacting
does.
with me. I'll talk to the house. That's
He's
fine.
like, thank you, house.
Don't call you
like,
Cupcake. All right, whatever.
Can I call you? He calls her Goldilocks, which I think is creepy.
There was an interesting comparison to Goldilocks in it, and I can't remember.
Is it because she has gold hair, golden locks?
It was. He said something about Goldilocks. Something about being just right. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because they were talking about fairy tales. Because
Yeah.
she's like, I am a fairy tale. Because it was after he oh, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. There's one point where at the end he's like, he's trying to help this bitch, and he's like, look, I know you're broke. I just bought the entire waterfront. All of this property is now mine. I'm your new landlord. Why don't you come work for me? Be my head baker. I'll pay you crazy money. You don't have to do everything because you'll have subordinates to do all the stuff. You know,
And you
it's
can still
great.
sell your cupcakes there.
Yeah, you can still sell your cupcakes. And she like flies off the fucking handle. She's like, "Brah!" She's like, you want me to get rid of my shop? That's all I have. Na 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 na.
Oh, she is very upset by
She's
that.
so
But she
mad.
Felt affronted by it because she was going there to tell him she loves him, and then he drops that on her, and she feels
She
like,
thought she
oh.
assumed that he was gonna say he loved her
yeah.
first. And then he didn't. He said, I want to hire you. And she like flew off the fucking handle. And it's like, bitch, slow your roll. Like, you've known this man for 3 weeks. Like, how the fuck do you love him? Come on.
I don't think that's how it works.
That's not how it's ever worked for me, personally. It's like,
I think Romeo and Juliet is supposed to teach you otherwise.
Romeo and Juliet is supposed to teach you that that it's not a good thing to fall in love
that it's
quickly.
it starts out as infatuation. It takes time for love.
Yeah, I mean, the lesson that I took away from Romeo and Juliet was don't kill yourself when you're 16. But
That too. I think they're 14.
I think he's 16.
Could be.
She's probably 14
Mm-hmm.
because what is the age of consent?
When there's grass on the field, what is it? Yeah, you know.
Oh, Scorch knows. Scorch knows. Come on,
and if
share it,
it's
Scorch.
ready to bleed, ready to breathe, something like that. I don't know.
a couple different.
What's the grass on the field?
If there's grass on the field, play ball.
If there's grass on the field,
If
play
there's no
ball.
grass on the field, play in the mud.
I hope the microphones didn't pick up that second part. Okay.
Oh my
I won't
god.
repeat that one.
I will. No, I'm just kidding.
It'll end up on a list.
Oh my god. I've got something funny to tell you guys after we finish this. Oh yeah, there was just one other small thing. There's literally sweat dripping down my nose.
That's the other small
really,
thing.
Really tell our fans that. That's so sexy.
Sweat is sexy.
Not when you say it like that.
licking sweat off
This
of
is already
your
sexier
lover,
than anything
like,
that happened in this book.
What? No, I'm dripping. I don't know.
I'm
just saying, Scorch, I think I know how to be a sexy lady better than you know how to be a sexy lady. But, you know, there are a few amateur drag competitions happening in Boston soonish, so if you want to put that to the test, I'm happy to accompany you. No. Seriously, guys, one small point of contention I had with this book. There were no real sex scenes. There were literally actually no sex scenes. There were allusions to sex scenes. There were
well, she also talked about it
build
secondhand.
to sex scenes, and then there were like reminiscences about sex scenes, but there was no actual we are fucking and this is what's happening right now sex scenes, which was like, I'm sorry, what does that say? It says fresh new romance. It says romance. The book says goddamn romance.
And love.
Romance doesn't just have to be fucking.
It is. That's what I want from a romance book is fucking. I don't
Well, it's
actually want to read a
implied.
romantic story.
It's like the Lifetime movie thing.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
It is a Lifetime movie. It's like rated PG-13 for suggestive material. Like, it's just. Hold on. I know I can.
She talks to Juliet about it, like, "Ooh, the granite countertop must have been cold. You in kitchens, huh?"
I mean, yeah. Let's.
Well, at one point she wakes up. So they're making out or something. She wakes up a second later and is like, "Oh, we had sex last night." Like,
No, let's see.
But
oh, here we
completely
go.
left
Here we
out.
go. It goes. So they're in the kitchen. He came over. Why did he come over in the first place?
to help with the roof.
No.
Or this was a different.
They needed to
No.
go.
He came over. Oh, to bring back the files.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He came over to bring back some business related documents, I guess, whatever. And like a huge storm blew up, and she's like at home instead of at her work. So they're like chit-chatting, and then all of this racket comes from upstairs because the roof is in poor repair and there's like water gushing in, and so she runs up and he's like, "Do you want some help?" And she's about to be like, "No," but then she's like, "Fuck yes, I actually do really need help." So they go upstairs and fix her roof, which is not a euphemism for anything. But they do make out, and then they come back down to the kitchen, and then she explains to him the magic of her cupcakes. And then they're like talking, and then they're kissing, and it's like he pushed her up against the counter and kissed her slowly, savoring the sweet taste of her, the softness of her skin, and the unbelievable feeling that everything with her felt so right. There's some like bullshit about the house. The house starts like playing some music, and the curtains are closing.
Oh, I forgot.
The last sentence in this paragraph is, "It was odd to be sure, but with Emma in his arms, Hunter just didn't care." Literally the next paragraph. Emma woke up the next morning feeling deliciously warm and floaty. I'm sorry, like, I don't care how Emma felt the next morning. Like, I want to know what happened in between those two paragraphs. God damn. It's
Well,
just
apparently Matilda was there. Their telekinetic power making everything float around and the music play.
Oh my god. Are you really making a Matilda, like the children's book Matilda
Yeah.
joke?
Yeah, Roald Dahl.
Oh my goodness. I can't. Anyway, that happens like several times. They're like, ooh, like foreplay and leading up, and then next paragraph is 2 days later, in fact. Like, oh, I'm hanging out with Jules. Hey Jules, I guess we kind of kissed. Oh my god, really? Like, I thought you wanted him to leave. Well, he's still gonna leave, but you know, it's fine. You're not getting attached to him, are you? Well, we also kind of had sex. What? Like, it's just crazy. Like,
And then the whole town knows.
yeah, and then the whole town finds out because small town. I don't know. That really bothers me. It's not a room. How did this book win? This won the 2016 Golden Heart, sponsored by Romance Writers of America. Like, who voted for this book that has no sex in it?
Maybe it's a much smaller group than. Maybe it's her and her parents.
Hello, we are the three members of
The Sheet family.
the Sheet family. but Romance Writers of America sounds better. Yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't call it a romance novel. I think we're just like, man, I think we got to like dig deep. I think we got to dig into the bowels of the internet or like
Fanfiction.net.
well, coming up. No, but those Harlequin romance novels that are just like really bad and they're about like the Shah of Istanbul and like his fucking harem. Yeah, those. We need to go, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Next week, we're going to take a trip to a used bookstore and we're going to comb that bitch for like old ass romance novels and read some of those because this new bullshit is not cutting it for me. Like, I remember being a kid and reading a couple of old school romance novels and being like, wow, I'm learning quite a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, when I turn 13 or 14 or 15, like, I'm sure I'm going to put this knowledge to good use. But you know what I mean? It's just like, this is so... it's light. It's romance light. Like I said, it's just not meaty at all. They didn't even use the word member in here. Like, if you write a romance novel, just a tip for all of you people out there who are listening, who are planning on writing a romance novel, if you do not use the word member, if you do not say anything about sheathing your member to the hilt, you are not writing romance, okay? You're writing, like, sappy love stories, and I don't want to read that.
Nope, definitely not.
I want to read smut, and this is not smut. Hashtag end rant. Like, that's just my 2 cents.
I would prefer more blood and violence in mine, but we'll get to the vampire ones eventually.
We need to read like a thriller, like slasher thriller romance novel thing. I don't know. We'll find something that makes everybody happy. And if we can't, we'll write one ourselves. And then we'll read it and review it and give ourselves 5 bleeding hearts out of 5 bleeding hearts.
That's the plan.
So do you have any relationship advice?
Yeah, well, this is kind of my advice for all of the characters and all of the books we've read. Can you just go for it, please? A lot of you are getting older. Just stop with all the hesitations like, oh, I don't know, he owns the rival restaurant. Well, maybe if it works out and you get married someday, you'll share your expenses and it can help you with your store. So
yeah,
I just give it a chance instead of trying to do a magic spell on the summer solstice to try to draw down the moon and use the power to push him out of the town forever.
The go away spell.
The go away.
The go away cupcake.
That had garlic in it.
Oh, I mean, that might have just driven him away to begin with.
Yeah.
Just like
just the garlic in a cupcake.
Yeah.
I do like sweet and savory together.
It depends. It definitely depends. I don't know how I would feel about icing and garlic.
I definitely don't like cupcakes, so maybe a garlic one would be okay.
I don't like overly sweet cupcakes. I don't like buttercream frosting. It's just too friggin' sweet. Like one bite and I feel my teeth are melting. I'm just like, oh. Although that could be the acid. I don't know. Just kidding. Don't do drugs, kids. No, I don't know. My relationship advice for most people in the books that we read, for the women at least, is just like, stop being such a proud bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds really hypocritical coming from me. but this is a book. This is not my life. This is somebody else's life in a book. Like, just stop. Like, sometimes it just seems very artificial. You know what I mean? Where it's just drawing the plot out for the sake of drawing the plot out. It doesn't always make sense necessarily.
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of conflict in it or else.
Right. And the conflict can't just be like, oh, I don't want, here's my made up reason number 1 and number 2 for like not wanting.
My fiance left me and stole all my money 2 years ago. I can never date again.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I guess I understand that she's pissed that he basically like came and scouted her location and didn't tell her who he was, that he was like opening a rival restaurant or anything like that. I could see how she might be a little upset about that.
And she doesn't listen to him either, where he's nothing but supportive about the other local places around.
Yeah, no, that's true. She doesn't listen very well, at least not to him. And he actually is not that bad of a guy.
No, he's not. But she doesn't listen. She makes him out to be worse than he is.
Yeah, she paints him as more villainous than he deserves. Because he said, like, at one point he's like, oh, we should just like make Main Street look a little better. Like some of the signs are, like, look dangerous to walk under. Like the chains holding them up are rusted, and like the paint is so faded you can barely even see what the sign says. And she's like, they're vintage. Like, shut the fuck up.
You can restore your vintage signs.
Yes, of course. Like, I'm sorry, that attitude is so Seattle. Like, oh, it's vintage. I don't want to do anything to it. It's like, oh, God. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, doing a little bit of spring cleaning, bitch. Ugh.
And then he cleans up the street and everything. And she's like, oh, that does look nice.
I know. It's just like, really? Really? Okay. Do you have any quotes?
I do have one that was an example of some gross descriptive writing that I liked.
Okay.
This is at a bar. The man leans closer, his belly filling the space between them like an airbag during a collision.
Ugh.
Girl, you must be a parking ticket because you got fine written all over you. I just like the description of the belly filling the space
it's a little
between
too
them.
descriptive, if
It's
you know
very
what I
visceral.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
It is good descriptive writing.
Style,
No,
there are
yeah.
some good descriptions in it that I liked.
No, her descriptive writing
Yeah.
is good. Oh, you know what I liked about her descriptive writing? She's not an interior designer. There weren't like these totally unrelated, intrusive paragraphs about, you
Like
know, the
Riverstone
antique furniture
tub.
or the like, the Riverstone tub or the like whatever bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, her writing style is good. The descriptive writing is pretty good. God damn it, just write some sex scenes. Like real ones, not ones that sort of
Her
allude.
parents were home when she was writing it. She didn't want to get too dirty.
Well, I liked what you said earlier. So we looked up a picture of this bitch, and she looks really normal. She looks like a totally normal human being that you would see like at the grocery store or like walking down the street, whatever. And and Ophelia was like, oh, well, that's why there's no like raunchy sex in here. It's because she's a normal person and she's not like trying to, what did you say?
Trying to fill a void.
Yeah, she's not trying to fill a void. Like she probably has an okay relationship with
Yeah.
somebody. Like she probably doesn't have 14 cats. Like
Just one dog.
just a book eating dog named Merlin. Yes. Oh, I wrote down a quote. I picked this quote because I thought it was weird. I thought it was a weird way to express desire for someone. They're kissing because that's all they ever do in this book. It says, he tasted wild and dangerous and more delicious than anything she'd ever tried before. She wanted to inhale him, suck him in, lick him up. And it was like,
Inhale what?
she wanted to crush him into little powder and snort him. I don't know. Like how do you inhale? Have you seen The Mummy?
Yeah.
So you know The Mummy from The Mummy and how he like inhales people to like get flesh.
Yeah.
Or like more to like restore himself. That's like what I thought of
Maybe
when I read
that's one
that.
of her magic powers that's more interesting and will be explored in
She wanted to
sequels.
inhale him. He's like a desiccated mummy afterwards. Suck him in. Like suck him off. I understand what that is. I just didn't. That preposition
Maybe that's
was
what
a
she
little
meant.
off.
She just didn't want to say it. Oh, suck him.
in. Suck him into her vagina. I don't know. Lick him up like he's like a puddle of ice cream or something. Like. Yeah. No, I just thought that was a strange way to. I don't know. She wanted to ingest him, ingest his essence. or something.
Is this after she felt like a baby zebra in an open field with a hungry
With
lion
the hungry
tracking
lion.
her?
Yeah.
And now she knew what that hungry lion would do.
I think this was before that. I think this was during their first kiss. Although there was an almost kiss where he tried to kiss her in the woods at Jules's party. And she was like, this is just because of the jasmine flower.
oh yeah.
She's they ran into each other and
Crashes into her as he's jogging, and they're out early in the morning trying to get some jasmine off of Bethany's property, and
there's a small collision and they like bump
they
into
spill
each
the
other.
jasmine spell, a love spell.
And it's all like over them and she's like, it's just the jasmine. And he's like, what are you fucking talking about? He has like no idea. She's very avoidant, I think is the right word. Or what's that word that means like deflective? Yeah, that's the one. Where she's like, no, but I don't really want to do that. I don't know.
Oh, I had another note in here. I forgot about.
Yeah, go for
About
it.
the Chihuly glass sculptures that she name drops multiple times, like it's the only glass or the only artist she's ever heard of.
Wasn't there a Chihuly exhibit at the MFA?
Yes, and there's a permanent piece there now.
Well,
It's
yeah,
a big green glass.
the hanging for the
It's cool.
ceiling.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I saw that exhibit.
Mhm.
That was cool. I think Scorch and I went to see that exhibit actually
I think there's also
on
Chihuly's
420.
at the, Mohegan Sun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember seeing one there.
Oh, I didn't see that. I don't really. Wait, we were at Mohegan Sun, right? Or did we go? Oh, we went to the other one. We went to Foxwoods, right? I don't know.
It's a big difference.
I don't. That's the only casino I've ever been to in my
Same.
life. That was a very affronted look I just got there. Like, how dare I only have been to one casino? Listen, I know I'm with a casino Indian, but I need a guide. So will you be my casino Indian guide?
Sacagawea.
How is your hair so
We might have
long
to
and beautiful? Oh my god.
All right, we're spiraling.
Yeah, we're
Let's,
spiraling. Let's give our rating. Yeah, we gave it a 2
out of 5.
2 out of 5 bleeding hearts. Because it was boring.
It
And there was
doesn't
no
fit
sex.
the definition of romance as we have defined it. So,
As we have determined romance means.
but it has 2 instead of 1 because it's written okay.
It's the writing is good in terms of the technical ability. Technically, it's well written.
This is definitely a book for single women.
This is definitely a book for women who, I mean, maybe Christians.
It's about magic.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Christians in that sense. I just think it's for like lonely women who,
Cat
prudes.
ladies, but cat ladies that have 1 or 2 cats and not 9.
It's for single women who are too scared to go buy a vibrator.
Yeah.
So just want to get all hot and bothered.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain, guys call it edging. Ladies can edge too. Yeah, it's where you like.
Edging is?
Oh, sweetie. No, edging is where you like turn yourself on a lot.
It's
But you-
basically get yourself right
you
so have to come and then just stop.
Yeah, you
Why?
get to because it
Just keep
prolongs. So that when it happens, it's like waves of
Oh,
pleasure crashing on the shore of your
take a
subconscious.
note.
Ooh, that's
Be
good.
in
I
the
should,
book.
write that down.
The character likes edging
Oh
and sounding.
And so-
I learned that one recently.
oh my goodness, ridiculous. All right, let's get this shit show wrapped up. So, at the bottom, you can see our personal plugs. These are our Instagram handles. You can check us out. I haven't updated in a little bit, so bear with me.
I updated last week.
Well, aren't you just a paragon of updatedness?
Not really.
Anyway, you can also find us at Between the Covers Podcast on Instagram. We're on Facebook at Between the Covers Podcast. We are on Twitter at between_covers. We are on iTunes and all major podcasting distribution services. We have an email address, betweenthecoverspodcast@gmail.com. Send us questions, comments, concerns, books you want us to read. Ophelia will give you relationship advice if you want it, or makeup tips. I don't know. We didn't say what we're going to read next week. We'll do that after a second. You guys should totally, absolutely check out The Bastard Sermon. Awesome dudes. They do an awesome podcast. You should check out our lovely sponsors, Havoc Mead. I'm actually currently drinking a ginger mead by them called Root of All Evil. And they also have Psychopomp, which is a sour cherry. There are a couple of other flavors, but they are now just being distributed in Massachusetts and Vermont. So you should totally check them out if you're in those areas. And did you have anything?
No.
Any
But-
updates on the merch?
We're working on it. We have a very special shirt design that I'm
I'm
in
so excited.
progress
Oh
for.
my God, you have no idea how excited I am for this shirt.
So
It's going to be sick.
next week we're going to have a special episode
Yes.
where we'll be reading a piece of literature off of fanfiction.net.
Yep. Fanfiction.net. We're doing it. We're
Should be a
doing
surprise.
Let's give them the genre.
Okay, romance.
Let's give them the world.
Tolkien, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we're reading Lord of the Rings romance fanfic off of fanfic.net. So you guys hold on to your butts because it's going to get terrible up in here. So I think that's it for tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for slipping between the covers with us. And we hope you'll stay tuned next week. Friday is at 8 o'clock. And ciao for now.
Good night.